Well, with MPL Singapore Season 7 really finally happening, because I don't know why we're so late, you might be asking yourself, who is the strongest team in MPL Singapore? Well, here's a little bit of the backstory. EVOS Singapore was the first back-to-back champion, so they won the first 2 seasons. In Season 3, RSG took that throne away from EVOS Singapore and became the first back-to-back-to-back champion. Basically, they won 3 seasons in a row from Season 3 all the way to Season 5. And that's until Team Flash finally pulled the rug when they won in Season 6. But as we step into the new season of MPL Singapore, which is Season 7 where we are currently at right now, with loads of roster swap and overhauls happening all across the board in MPL Singapore, we need to take a look at each of these teams again, so you get to decide who shall be the strongest teams in MPL Singapore Season 7. Let's start with the community team first. Let's start with Asteris. Asteris is a team formed by FMM after he was released by Bleed in between Season 6 and Season 7. FMM formed this team alongside ex-Stellar EXP laner Bear and also ex-Stellar Gold laner Chu, which used to be called Howski back then. Bear, in my opinion, is a mechanical genius, and now combined with game sense genius FMM, hopefully they are able to stay in MPL Singapore and of course fighting back against Bleed, who released FMM in between seasons. Alongside Asteris, who qualified into MPL Singapore, is also Exco Esports. Exco Esports was founded because ex-Vanguard Esports jungler, who is also from Indonesia by the way, wanted to come back and compete in MPL Singapore. Unfortunately, he was already released by Vanguard Esports. He also brought in Bear TZ, who is his ex-teammate back in MDL RQ days. During the qualifiers, he managed to find some community players and they managed to break through into MPL Singapore, but they ended in the lower bracket finals. Slowly, who was released by Vanguard Esports, definitely felt a little bit of bitter taste against their team, especially when, people are saying that he may be the one that carried Vanguard Esports all the way to top 4 during the playoffs. We shall see when they fight each other in MPL Singapore Season 7. Since we talk about Slowly, who was Vanguard Esports, we have to talk about Vanguard Esports. Vanguard Esports qualified in Season 6, which was the last season, and it was formed by Nick Stain, who was an ex-sub-roamer for Bleed Esports and also the mentee of the legendary JPL that you see in Team Flash currently. Nick Stain founded Vanguard Esports alongside his partner in crime, Luxian Stain, and they ended quite high in 4th place in Season 6 after knocking out Bleed Esports in their 6th place placement fight. This season, they decided to replace their 2 Indonesian imports, which are Slowly and Chud, with 2 new Filipino imports who are Super MJ and Selen. And along the way, they also added another new female sub. Well, they were touted the dark horses in Season 6, but when I was talking to Nick Stain, he was saying that they're not any dark horse anymore. They want to be an actual threat for the championship title in MPL Singapore Season 7. And that is something that we have to look forward to. Next up, Team Evil. Team Evil is perhaps the main inspiration for all the community teams out there, including Asteris, Exco Esports, and Vanguard, because they are the ones that started the no coach, no problem kind of meta in MPL Singapore. They are formed under the leadership of Powerful, and they have been in MPL since Season 3, and they've always achieved at least top 4, and the highest they went is top 3. This is a team that rely heavily on the chemistry, especially during team fights, and the reason why they're unable to break into the grand finals and always remain as top 3 is because they don't really have the macro to back up their micro. So that's probably why they decided to recruit ex-RSG Sailor and hopefully fixes up their issues. Now that we have all the non-organization backed teams out of the way, let's talk about Homebois Singapore. Homebois Singapore is a Malaysian organization who came in after SMG dissolved in Season 6. During that season, they brought in 2 Indonesian imports, namely Vionocure and Pex, and also inherited SMG SG players such as Derry, Super Jocks, and also Enya. Homebois SG went through a major roster overhaul. It's only just Vionocure left from the previous season, but they brought in Buji, an ex-RSG SG member who participated in the Snapdragon Pro series. But apart from that, they also brought in MPL MY, Anip, and also the coach Saifu. And hopefully, under the leadership of Saiful, they're able to replicate the success they had in Homebois Malaysia, especially during Season 12 when they managed to be the champion in MPL M1. Okay, finally, let's talk about your reigning champion, Team Flash, who is perhaps the strongest team on paper in MPL Singapore this season. In Season 7, they even managed to take RSG star player Diablo into their fold, and this is massive. This is a massive nerf over to RSG, and also buffing themselves up. So this is like a two birds with one stone kind of situation that Team Flash managed to secure for themselves. Apart from that, they also brought in the legendary JPL, who was released by Vanguard Esports. By the way, JPL has been playing professionally since 2017 in MSC. That is like the first official tournament for mlbb. They also brought in Kurt TZ, who is also an ex-teammate of Hades back then in Exco MPLPH. So I guess you call them a double trouble right now. Personally, with all that, I feel Team Flash should definitely win this season, but hey, classes can be wrong. Okay, now we talk about RSG SG, and I don't know why I feel sad about it whenever I talk about them, because technically speaking, it's really tough to see how far they have fallen, and they had an unstoppable run since Season 3 all the way to Season 5, and only dropped during Season 6 by Team Flash. By the way, it's Season 3 to Season 5, back-to-back champion. Not only just they lost in the last season, right? Between seasons, they also lost Lucian QT, Oki, and Diablo. These three are your key players of RSG SG. So their open seats are now filled with subs, but at the very least, they have Roy and Derry. Well, Roy is his old name. He's now known as Godzilla. Why? Seeing Bray playing earlier just now, this season is going to be very important for Bray, especially this is particularly his redemption arc after messing up in Season 6, denying RSG SG from that championship. To make things worse, this season, they don't even have a coach. This is perhaps RSG SG, the Tyrant's lowest point in MPL Singapore. Instead of asking whether they can actually put up a good fight against Team Flash, who put them down in last season, can they even stay in MPL Singapore this season? Vanguard Esports now has a very interesting history. They inherited EVOS Singapore, who actually won top 4 during the M3, which is like a world championship. But ever since, their roster has been gutted during the past few seasons, and now it's only just gear left from the original EVOS Singapore roster. Not only just that, they used to be RSG SG eternal rivals until Team Flash decided to knock them out at 3rd place during Season 5. And not only just that, they also got knocked out earlier by Vanguard Esports in 6th place. So technically speaking, you can say in Season 6 it was a complete disaster for Vanguard Esports. After Season 6, they released JPL, who went to Team Flash. They released FMM, who went and created his own team, Asteris. And not only just that, they also released KelVJ, who went to China and competed under a Chinese team. This season, with the Filipino MDL RSG players such as Seiji and also the coach, Coach G, they're looking to win back their fan support, who are loyal all the way since EVOS SG days. So that's all 8 teams of MPL Singapore Season 7. Let me know which team you're rooting for, and by the way, if you haven't made up your mind, here's my own power ranking. Hope to see you in MPL Singapore Season 7. Catch you guys next time.